Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I'm the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the founder of the Blended Podcast and the Blended Pledge, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. We have got Matt from FourKites on the show, and he's spilling the tea of all sorts of things that we're going to be talking about today, including their new pivot. They've got a new announcement at Manifest that we're going to get a little bit of the insider information on and so much more. But you just have to wait just a few minutes as I go through some of the top things that are happening at Let's Talk Supply Chain today. Now, remember, if you are watching or listening, we want to know where you're tuning in from. Put those in the comments. If you like what you're hearing, I also want to see some fire emojis in the comments as well. We love a good fire emoji here at Let's Talk Supply Chain. All right, so we can't get started without giving a shout out to our show sponsor, and that is the Secret Society of SupplyChain.com. If you have not headed over there yet, it is our new membership group, and it's free for all people in supply chain. Now, I want to give a shout out to our newest Secret Society of Supply Chain members. We've got Marvin Hampton, Mark Dunham, Clementine Albert, Natalie Rocco. We've also got Allison Fowler. Cannot wait to see you all in there, and thanks for joining us. All right, let's get to our brand new episodes. So we've got a brand new episode with AWS. It's number 519, wherever you watch or listen to the show. And we're talking about overcoming the perfect storm, moving beyond basic automation to realize AI's fullest potential. We also talk about firefighting and getting through disruptions and all sorts of stuff. So don't miss out on it. Go and check that out wherever you listen to the show. We've also got a second episode 520, and this is with Beth Hendricks from Infios. And we're talking about the new era of supply chain management. We've been trying to have Beth on the show for a very long time. So excited to have her on the show, and she shared such amazing insights. So wherever you tune in, YouTube, Apple, wherever you tune into the show, go and check that out. We've also got some LinkedIn Lives. These are free events that are coming up. This one is happening on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Even if you can't attend live, click the attend button because we will send you that recording afterwards. And it's with DCLI. We're talking about optimizing your chassis strategy. Now, these are going to be practical steps. So you're going to be able to take these insights that we share on that LinkedIn Live, and you're going to be able to put that into practice, which I absolutely love. So again, click the attend button. The link is in the comments. And then on February 19th, I'm going to be going live with Matt, the CEO from Loop. And we're going to be talking about why full stack AI is the key to financial and decision clarity in the supply chain. You're not going to want to miss this. Click the attend button. We will send you the link to the recording, even if you can't attend live. What else have we got? In person, we're going to be at Manifest next week. That's right. I'm going to be on stage, I think, 4 times. We're going to be recording a number of different podcasts. I'm going to be on stage with Aviro 360. We're going to be talking about yard blindness. That is on Monday. And then, of course, we're going to be at TPM. That's March 1st through 4th. In Long Beach, California. I'm going to be hosting TPM Live. We're also going to be hosting a pickleball tournament on the Sunday and a women's dinner on the Sunday night. So DM me if you want to be part of any of that. Then, of course, we are going to be recording podcasts on site at Modex. This is the first time Let's Talk Supply Chain is going to be at Modex, and I can't wait to see you there. If you want to create some buzz at your booth, let us know. Send me a DM because we would love to work with you. And then we're also going to be at Breakbulk and Project Cargo. That's April 20th through 22nd. In New Orleans, I'm going to be hosting Breakbulk Live there as well. So can't wait to see you there. All right, what else have we got? Really quickly, we've got Let's Talk Supply Chain Asia. We have just now locked in our new host for the Asia region, and we can't wait for you to meet them. We'll be launching everything around June this year. So make sure to follow the page because a lot is going to be coming out about that. And then Let's Talk Supply Chain Europe. Make sure to follow the page. We've got some exciting announcements coming out on this one. The first one is that we are looking for a host So if you know anybody in Europe that would be perfect to host Let's Talk Supply Chain Europe, we are going to be putting that out there very, very soon for you to apply. So make sure you tell all your friends. And last but not least, we've got the audiobook for my book, I Buried Her in a French Press. The audiobook just came out. The QR code has the link. We've also got it in the comments as well. It's an Amazon bestseller. Thanks to all of you. And so, yeah, let's get back to the show. But that's some exciting news. All right, let's bring up Matt. Matt, welcome to the show.
Sarah, how are you?
I'm
Thanks
doing
for having
great,
me.
thanks. How are you? I am so
Good.
excited to have you back in the Let's Talk Supply Chain Network. We're going to be talking about all the things that you have been working on at FourKites, which has been a lot. You've made a huge pivot, and we're going to be talking about that today. Love the pivot, by the way. So, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Matt Elenjickal. I'm the founder and CEO of FourKites. FourKites, we are a real-time supply chain orchestration platform, and we use network intelligence and AI to really help companies move from seeing things to acting on them really quick. So that's who we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that today. And we're on the same wavelength about that. I was just talking to your team about this because you did something really cool at your recent user conference, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But we're also shaping a lot of the content and the events that we're doing in 2026 to do the same. I think people are really craving to get their hands on technology to really see how it's going to work and how it's going to help them, how it's going to solve for some of the challenges that they have. So I love, love, love to see that. And we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. All right, let's get to the poll of the week. Now, we ask everybody a question every single Wednesday morning over on our LinkedIn page. And most of your day is spent. We had just under 100 votes, 47% aligning moving parts. 39% said handling urgent situations, 9% said managing last minute changes, and 6% said planning for what might break. I mean, that's quite the existence. Matt, when you saw this poll, what did you think of the results? Is it kind of aligning with the conversations that you're having?
It does. I mean, I love the poll, by the way, and it captures the reality of, where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Supply chain leaders, they don't wake up, really planning to fight fires, but that's what they end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
And every customer that we speak with, every prospect that we talk to, they are stuck in reactive mode, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
where things are. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised too. I mean, there's a lot of disruption. I was just talking about firefighting on my show just a little while ago. And it's sort of this new normal for supply chain professionals and teams and leaders. And it's sort of like, what's going to happen next? How do we predict this? How do we plan? How do we figure out what is the next thing that we need to focus on so that we can make our supply chain successful?
Or
Really.
what's the next fire I need to fight, right? So it's nice. Yeah.
But I don't know how we plan for that because, those fires just tend to
Right,
come up, and for some reason almost every day it feels like we're playing that game
right.
like whack-a-mole,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And we need to get out of that.
right.
Well, so now's the time of the show where we usually do a market update. And so you talk to a lot of leaders in the industry. You're talking to a lot of customers. I know that FourKites is really entrenched with their customers in really finding out what it is that they need and solving for those problems, not trying to just solve for what we think they need. So who are you talking to right now? What are people thinking? What's the sentiment in the market for 2026? I mean, we've seen a couple of, I think, competing reports on what 2026 is going to look like. And so I kind of want to know what that truth in the middle is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I talk to customers and prospects, there are three themes that are emerging in my conversations. The first one is, visibility, it's table stakes, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
real gap is execution. So what I mean by that is supply chain teams that generally know what is happening through FourKites and other platforms. But the real bottleneck, Sarah, is still coordinating the actions across different teams, systems, and all the handoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So especially when disruptions happen, right, outside the four walls of their supply chain. So visibility is table stakes, execution is a real gap. That's the first theme. The second theme is all around, really workflow ownership, right? People are tired of, tools. They don't need one more tool. They just need something that can really automate all the different tasks that people are doing, right? Because when you think about getting anything done in supply chain, right, whether it is, reducing the detention or expediting freight, there are lots of teams and systems involved, and many times the logic is in people's head, right? So really, how do
Mhm.
we automate all these workflows? That is the second theme that we are seeing. And the third thing, obviously, we have to talk about AI, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we are. But there is real fatigue around AI and the ROI, right? There's scrutiny around the ROI from AI.
Mhm.
Most companies, when we talk to, they're still in the experimentation phase with AI, and how can
Mhm.
we really have a P&L impact? I think that is coming up a lot, right? So those are three themes that I hear when I talk to companies.
And I'm on the same wavelength as you. I'm hearing all sorts of things that you just mentioned, and we're actually going to talk about, some of that knowledge that is living in some of our amazing professionals' heads, but what that actually means to execution through AI. Our first article is going to talk about that, and it actually labels it. I've never heard about decision traces, so we're going to get to that in just a minute. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is the activities that FourKites is going to be doing at Manifest next week, because I think you've got a very interesting session on Monday afternoon that folks who are going to Manifest are going to want to key into their agenda and attend. Can you give us a bit of a overview of why they should come to that session, what it means, who's going to be involved? Because I think you've got some interesting names.
Yeah, so there are two sessions that I'm part of. The first one is all around where the market is going, right, from a visibility standpoint. So when you think about the FourKites evolution back in 2025, early 2025, we kind of pivoted the business from real-time visibility into something more. We call it intelligent control tower, and it was all around more emphasis on acting and not just seeing things, right? Seeing
Mhm.
is good, but then what do you do after that? How do you fix it, right? How do you close the loop? So that required really going beyond transportation and getting data from end-to-end supply chain systems, whether it is ERPs, TMS, inventory management systems, and really building workflows to embed visibility into other parts of supply chain beyond transportation. So we'll be talking about that quite a bit in the first session. And the second one, I believe, is all around AI with Tive and Happy Robot, right?
Mhm.
What are we seeing in the market around AI adoption, right? And what are the challenges, opportunities, right? Those are the two sessions that I'm part of, and really looking forward to all the discussions next week.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think there's a lot of excitement around AI, but there's still some discussions that need to be had as to, like you said, the ROI, what it's actually going to do for our day to day, and how do we implement it without, squandering investment.
Right.
Right? Because I think a lot of people are also afraid of making the wrong decisions. And so I'm glad that you're going to have an open session on that. People are going to be able to ask questions and really create that dialogue of conversation around it. It's not just a session where you're going to be talking about it. It's a session where you're going to be able to interact and talk to a lot of people as to what it actually means for them, which I love. All right, let's get to our first article, because what you were talking about a little bit earlier around decision traces. Now, what this article talks about, AI's $1 trillion opportunity, and you're probably like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we talk a lot about AI and we talk a lot about investment in AI. And what this article talks about is if enterprise software survives the shift to agents. And I thought that was really interesting because a lot of folks are working on legacy systems.
Right.
And a lot of those legacy systems are actually making acquisitions to make sure that they can, get into the AI world and bring AI to their customers and things like that. But one of the key things in this particular article was about decision traces. I have never heard this term before,
Yeah.
but what it stands for is exceptions, overrides, I think it says precedence and context when it comes to making the decisions. Those are the four key things that this article says is missing from any transition into AI. So when we think about ROI and we think about that being top of mind for all of the professionals and leaders, this is a really key point. What they're saying is this decision trace lives in Slack, in-person conversations, calls, and people's heads.
Right.
Talk to me about this because this is fascinating. I haven't heard this before.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at the enterprise technology stack across any Fortune 2000 company, it's pretty much converging, right? You have SAP, you have Oracle, you have Salesforce, ServiceNow, right? You have Blue Yonder, Manhattan, FourKites. It's the same players that are at all of these companies, some combination of these players, right?
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of difference when it comes to technology. So we think about anything to drive transformation around three different pillars: people, process, and technology. So technology is converging, right? It's the same technology. And when you think about AI, the foundational models, whether it is ChatGPT, right, Claude or Llama, right, DeepSeek, those are converging as well, right? Again, it's the same, 4, 5, 6 foundational models. So when you think about where the differentiation happens, it is all with people and process.
Mhm.
Now, what resonated with me, right, is the idea that most valuable data, it is not in systems, it is in decisions.
Mhm.
And if you look at where decisions, are in all of these companies, it is in Slack threads, it is in, people's head, right? It is in emails. So that's where things are. So how do we really apply AI to bring those decision trees, right? Really bring them into a system,
Mhm.
maybe into an AI knowledge graph, and help companies automate a lot of tasks. I think that's the future, and any company that can make it happen, I believe they will be the ultimate winner.
Mhm.
Because like I said, systems are converging, foundational models are converging, right? At the end of the day, you have to drive differentiated outcome to these companies. And the only way to do that is by really taking those decision trees, the Slack threads, the knowledge in emails, and then automating those using AI. So that's the future.
So you mentioned the LLM. You mentioned like ChatGPT.
Right.
I'm one of the things that I didn't see on this list as to where the context actually lives is in the conversations, I think, with the LLMs.
Right.
So if organizations aren't giving their professionals access to an LLM to be able to, ask the questions in a secure environment for that particular organization, I've been hearing that a lot of professionals are sort of going to LLMs on their own, which is not great.
Right.
Right. So we do need to give them the tools that they want to be using to be able to do their day-to-day life. But I also wonder if there's context within those LLMs that we might be missing around these decision traces that need to be brought into the loop as well, or not. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
something that I was thinking about.
Yeah. So I think there's an important point that I wanted to highlight there. So when you think about the context, there's internal context within the four walls, and there's
Mhm.
external context. And
Okay.
we believe at FourKites, the external context is more important from a supply chain execution standpoint than the
Mhm.
internal context, right? So our thought process is that any company that can bring the external context and bring that along with the internal context into an LLM, they will win. So you are right. Supply chain professionals, they are using ChatGPTs and Claudes of the world to really do their job. But many times that is those LLMs are strictly looking at the internal data. It is missing the external context because that external context is not in any of the supply chain systems, right? So
Mhm.
that's what we believe we can bring to the table, and that's what we will be announcing next week at Manifest. Just a small teaser, if you will.
You might have to give us a little bit more than that, Matt, but I will give you a minute to think about it. I do want to let everybody know that QR code up in the top right-hand corner, that is your connection to FourKites at Manifest. So go ahead and click that. They're also going to be, their booth is right by the beer
Beer
garden. I
garden,
mean,
yeah.
how did you get that placement? Because you're going to be right in the heart of everything at Manifest next week.
Yeah, thanks to your marketing team. So
I love it. I love it. So go grab that information. We've also got some information over in the comments as well. Now, I want to get to this second article because the first one really ties into this one. And you wrote this one. And it really talks about how you've gone from visibility pioneer to execution platform. I mean, visibility is really the foundation behind FourKites and where you started. So I've got a couple of questions about why the pivot, but then there was a couple of really key things in this particular article. And I highly recommend everybody go and check this out because you talk about some really cool things that you're doing over at FourKites, which I really loved. So why the pivot? Why now?
Yeah, so visibility was getting stable stakes, like I mentioned during the market themes that I was hearing when talking to customers.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing is great, but there's much more value in acting on it. And our initial thesis was that the execution systems, whether it is ERPs, OMS, TMS, WMS, they will take our data and they will build those execution signals into their systems. That never happened. So we had to own the execution piece, and that's what really triggered us, pivoted us from just pure visibility into a control tower. So when we looked at the control tower market, Sarah, there were three, things that we saw in the market. All the traditional control towers, they were backward looking, right? They would look at all the data from the past, transactions from the past, and they will create great reports. They will tell you what happened, but they're not going to tell you what's going to happen in the future. So that is one thing that we could change with our data set. The second thing is every traditional control tower, they were looking within the four walls, right? Looking at data within your systems, within your data lake, whereas we can bring data outside the four walls. And the third is control towers traditionally, they will tell you, they'll give you a lot of insights, but you still humans to act on the insights. So you have to hire people and then act on those insights from a control tower. And that's not scalable, especially in the age of AI. So what we thought, okay, we have a great data set. It's proprietary.
Yeah.
We can easily integrate with internal data, right, within the four walls. And we can use AI to really automate the workflows, right, based on insights from the control tower, which nobody's doing in the market. And that's what really got us excited. And we got a lot of great feedback from customers. And that's what led to the pivot of where we are right now.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, a couple of the examples that you shared in the article, and I have to say, so if people don't know this, I come from a logistics background.
Right.
And just so everybody who's watching, if you're liking the conversation, I want to see some fire emojis. Put those in the comments. Really want to see those. And tell us where you're tuning in from. Anyways, because I know we've got some new people that have come on the last little bit. So for me, I was an operations person, right? So I handled all the ocean freight files, the air freight files, like all that kind of stuff. And I remember the manual having to trace a container and then, inputting the information to update the client. And the examples that you gave in this particular article between Tracy and Alan, I mean, Tracy can work on communicating delays with the clients in the background where you don't even have to think about it. And I think about how much time that would have saved me and so much headaches and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got Alan that if there's a delay can auto reschedule an appointment. I mean, the fact is I don't have to go in there and have to try to get into the website and figure out where I have to go for that and then reschedule an appointment, and somebody else can do that for me. Somebody else. An agent can do that for me in the background. I mean, those were great. And really the foundation of all of that is the data, like you said, that you've been able to accumulate from your foundation of being a visibility platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about these agents, it's not just one action that they are, automating, right? Communicating or setting an appointment. There are so many things that happen behind the scenes that the agents can automate as well. So remember the very first workflow that we automated for a customer. So this is a protein shipper, right? One of the world's largest protein shippers in the world. So they use a lot of reefer trailers that would drop trailers. And we visited their track and trace team, and they used to get emails every day from the distribution centers saying, hey, I have 20 trailers fully loaded, but it's sitting in the yard. What to do next? Is the carrier going to show up on time? And that email is triggering a bunch of other things, reaching out to the carrier, reaching out to customer service team, right? Reaching out to the customer to reschedule the appointment. All these tasks are handled by humans today that we can automate using agents. And that's the most exciting part in all this.
Well, it's also exciting because we've had 2 fire emojis in the last 2 seconds. We've got Josh, we've got John over on my personal LinkedIn from Tampa. So I appreciate that. They're loving the conversation. One more thing about this before we move on. You mentioned in this article that at your user conference called Summit just a little while ago, that you actually put the AI workflows in the hands of the customers so that they could build them themselves. Talk to me about that experience because that is something that we're actually working on and developing here at Let's Talk Supply Chain in the fact that we take what we talk about and we put it into action. And I
Yeah.
love that. So, how did that go?
Yeah, so we've been doing it for the last 8 years where we have what we call innovation workshop, where we
Mhm.
bring some 50, 60 customers. And obviously, there's a lot of prep going leading to
Yeah.
these workshops, right? We collect ideas, what is the most pressing problems that they want to solve, and we pair them with product and engineering folks from FourKites. And there's
Hmm.
a one-day workshop where they're coding in real time, right? They're not coding, but our teams are coding, but they're giving feedback as to what
Right.
should be developed. And we do that, the day before the conference, and the day of conference, we, showcase all the different things that we built, and customers can we do a polling, right? Okay, why don't you rank it, stack rank it, and the top 2 or 3 we commit to taking it to production over the next 6 to 8 months. So that's what we usually do. Again, customer-led product development, that's something that we pride ourselves on.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. So I appreciate you for sharing that with me, but I highly recommend you go and check out this particular article and read a little bit more about what they're doing and how they went from visibility to execution. Now we've got one more article left. We don't have a ton of time on this, and I know this is a little bit out there, but I wanted to showcase this particular article to the audience because I think it's funny. I mean, we've been talking about returns on Thoughts and Coffee for years. We've been talking about how it's sort of, not something that retailers really want to deal with because there's no money in it. It costs money. How do we do this? How do we create customer experience around it? But I'm here to say that this particular article talks about how there is money in returns because people are actually hiring other people to go to the UPS store and return their unwanted gifts. So, retailers, I promise you, there's money in returns. We just got to figure out what that positioning is around your return strategy. Matt, really quickly, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect example of where operations break down, right? Like you said, returns aren't profitable. That's because the coordination around returns, it's so,
Mhm.
it's worse, right? So when the process is so fragmented, it makes sense for someone to just pay a human to deal with it rather than,
Yeah.
putting systems around it, right? Because the systems really haven't caught up to the reality yet. So that's what we are dealing with. So sorry,
Yeah.
it's a funny article.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. And I think it's really interesting too that supply chain is now getting into the gig worker economy.
Right?
Like supply chain, we were talking about how supply chain is everywhere and the pandemic kind of
Yeah,
like helped us with that. But now supply chain is really everywhere because you can get supply chain on TaskRabbit. I mean,
that's right.
apparently the inquiries are going up 62%, which is
Yeah.
mind blowing. All right, we've got one more minute left. What do we need to know about FourKites being at Manifest? Remember the QR code in the top right hand corner. Go and click that. We've also got links to a whole bunch of stuff in the comments. Their booth number is 726. If you're going to be at Manifest, go over and say hi, take a look at what they're doing. Can you give us a little bit more about the announcement that you're making or not really?
I would say, it's all around process automation using AI.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, you can get automation from a lot of different companies, but
Okay.
what we bring to the table is a unique external perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the network that we built over the last 10 years. It's all around that. And don't forget the beer garden, right? Next to your booth. Please.
That's where you're going to find Matt when he's not
Right.
on stage with these sessions. And then they've also got their Monday afternoon session. Go and check that out as well. Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun to catch up and regroup and really get an understanding of what you're doing, what the future of supply chain looks like with FourKites. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that at Manifest next week. Thanks so much to everybody who tuned in and for all the fire emojis and the comments. We really appreciate you. I'm going to be off next week because we're going to be at Manifest, but Audrey and Brian Glick are going to be here with you. And I think Brian's got a bit of an announcement, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But I'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.